With the release of the PlayStation came Hideo Kojima's much-anticipated sequel to Metal Gear 2, Metal Gear Solid. Praised for its engaging story and intense stealth gameplay, it quickly became one of the best-selling games of the generation. But people wanted more, and it seemed that they finally get something new from Kojima with the PlayStation 2. But this time, it might not have been exactly what they wanted. The PlayStation 2 released in 2000 and quickly became one of the best-selling consoles of all time. With such a large install base, both Kojima and Konami agreed that it was the best platform for their new game, Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty. Production for the game began in 1999. The plot was originally planned to take place in Iraq and Iran, with nuclear weapons being taken there by aircraft carrier, with Snake having to stop them. But with the political situation in the Middle East appearing, the entire narrative was scrapped. However, some of the footage from the original plot was made into the prologue. In addition to this, the ending that would have been Metal Gear Ray destroying half of Manhattan was also removed due to the September 11 attacks. According to Kojima's original design document, he wanted to implement many new features into Sons of Liberty, such as the hiding of bodies, destroying of lights in the darkness, and AI that works as a squad, as seen in 1997's Half-Life. He also wanted to have many underlying social themes, such as censorship and political conspiracies. While he managed to incorporate many of the features, it seemed that some of the themes were ahead of their time. The game released in 2001 to very mixed audiences. While most people enjoyed the game, consumers felt misled. The game was marketed in a way that audience would get more Snake, however he was only playable in the prologue. The majority of the game had the player controlling Raiden, a much more effeminate character who, although had similar skills to Snake, had a completely different personality, one that didn't seem to fit in an action game. The game revolved around a terrorist group called the Sons of Liberty, who held the president hostage on an environmental filtering plant called Big Shell. While it seemed simple, it retained the rapidly changing style of narrative in Kojima's other Metal Gear games. The narrative split audiences, some saying that it was extremely pretentious and that many of the themes were too heavy for an action game, or even that the game was not fully themed enough. Meanwhile, others said that it was the first postmodern game, being able to engage the player with ideas that could be controversial, and question many societal conventions. Even against the backlash, Metal Gear Solid 2 won many awards, and as a competitor to Halo Combat Evolved and Grand Theft Auto 3 for Game of the Year. With a Metacritic rating of 96, it remains to be the highest rated Metal Gear game of all time. In fact, it beat the original Metal Gear Solid sales, getting a total of 7 million copies sold worldwide. This success was partly due to the ironically Metal Gear Solid 2 substance, which added 300 new VR missions to the game and also saw the game released on the PC and Xbox. Kojima, like many times before, thought he was finished with Metal Gear, but you guessed it, he returned for a sequel. Originally supposed to be developed for the PlayStation 3, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater was instead created for the PlayStation 2, after the next generation console was delayed until 2006. From the beginning, Kojima wanted to drastically change the series with new characters and settings. The game would see players having to travel to the enemy base themselves instead of starting inside the base like previous games. But this created difficulties during development, as it meant the team would have to create outdoor environments. However, with the use of motion capture and a new collision engine, the game was completed and ready for release in 2004. The game went back to the origins of Metal Gear, with a familiar but different character, Naked Snake. It told the story of Big Boss as he was betrayed by a mentor and sent on a suicide mission in the Russian mountains in a bid to prove America's innocence to the Kremlin. The game still featured the signature Kojima cutscenes, but the plot was less ambitious, a lesson learned from the previous game. The stealth was more simplistic, with a natural jungle setting, and a stamina gauge creating a survival aspect of the game. Snake also had to use camouflage in order to hide from enemies, but new hand-to-hand combat also meant that Snake was capable of performing swift takedowns. Even with stellar reviews, the game did not do so well at retail, selling only 4 million copies, 3 million less than the previous game. In an attempt to increase sales, Konami released an expanded version of the game called Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence. It released a year after the original and featured a new camera and bonus side missions. It was then that Kojima began thinking of his 6th Metal Gear game, and he realized his fans hadn't got a game starring Solid Snake since the original Metal Gear Solid in 1998. But like how Metal Gear Solid 3 looked in the beginning, number 4 would look to the end. Tune in next time to see Snake's story come to an end.